believe that anything over 30 years would likely be overturned on appeal. And so the judge doesn't want to do that. Then there's this idea of, well, what's a presumptive sentence? And it falls somewhere in the middle, around 12 and a half years. So those are all of the numbers that we're talking about and the reasons why. Eric Nelson, who is Chauvin's attorney, is calling for probation. We know that's not going to happen.
He also called to have the trial overturned, which was also rejected earlier. So,
but then there's also this idea of an appeal. And the idea of an appeal sort of centers around this juror, Brandon Mitchell, who was seen wearing a Black Lives Matter T-shirt at a rally in Washington, D.C. The judge himself said, look, I don't think that affected the outcome of the trial, but it may be grounds for reversal on appeal. So this likely is not over by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that was a very explosive story when it came out about Brandon Mitchell, that he was wearing that T-shirt, that he was at a march in Washington. All of the jurors were specifically asked, did you participate in any protests that were related to George Floyd? He claimed that, he didn't consider that to fall into that category. He thought it was a broader sort of protest that he was part of. It is, I think, unlikely that you're going to see an appeal based on that, based on what the comments that the judge has made here already. And I think there would be a big question about redoing this trial and what that would dredge up in terms of what has already come to the surface with all of this. But we'll see. We'll see if that door is open. And I think that it'll be interesting to see if the judge gives him time served as part of this sentence. Just to remind people, as you say, going back to sort of the numbers here, he was found guilty of second-degree murder.
Yeah. Hey, Martha,
okay,
I'm
here we
sorry
go.
to interrupt, but the judge is
Absolutely,
speaking
guys.
now.
I'll be right here.
Unless they are speaking. I'll ask for people who are speaking to come up to the lectern and use the microphones, and please to remove your mask so that we can hear you clearly. And also to maintain the distances that we have set out in the courtroom. With that, we'll proceed first with the state. Mr. Blackwell, you may proceed with victim input.
Your Honor, we have 4 victim impact statements. We will start with the 7-year-old daughter of George Floyd, Gianna Floyd, who will present hers by video.
What do you miss most about your daddy?
Well, I ask about him all the time. And that's kind of it.
Yeah. Well, when you ask about him, what are you asking about?
Well, I was asking, how did my dad get hurt?
Do you wish that he was still here with us?
Yeah, but he is.
Through his spirit?
Yes.
Yes. And when you see your daddy again one day, what do you want to do when you see him?
I want to play with him.
What kind of games do you want to play with him?
I want to play with him, have fun, go on a plane ride, and that's it.
Yeah. Would you?
We used to have dinner meals every single night before we went to bed. My daddy always used to help me brush my teeth.
Oh. Do you miss him helping brush your teeth?
Yes.
How do you hope that the world remembers him?
Well, they help him because those mean people did something to him.
Yeah. If you could say anything to your daddy right now, what would it be?
It would be, I miss you and I love you.
All right. Thank you, Gianna. I really appreciate you answering questions today.
That was Gianna Floyd.
And as part of the sentencing, let's bring Martha back in. Martha, there you heard from his young daughter. What impact will this have potentially on the sentencing?
You know, obviously it's always emotional when you hear from family members. This is his little 7-year-old daughter, Gianna. We expect that we're going to hear that there's a maximum of 7 family members who can speak today. And I think you're going to see a lot of the members of George Floyd's family get up and give statements about the impact on their lives. You know, it's interesting to look at these aggravating factors, John, that are being considered here. Particular cruelty is one that the judge has said he's going to consider an aggravating factor in this case. The fact that it happened in front of a group and that group included children is also a factor. The judge has made it very clear that he sees these aggravating factors as serious. Also, abuse of office, abuse of the badge, abuse of your position as a police officer in the community is an aggravating factor here. So these are going to be obviously big components when he looks at how much time he believes that Derek Chauvin should serve in this crime.
We should mention, while we're listening to the victim impact statements right now, we are expecting both the prosecution and the defense to make their arguments for a long sentence on the part of the prosecution and for no sentence other than probation on the part of the defense.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. You know, Judge Peter Cahill has been interesting to watch throughout this process. It was interesting that Derek Chauvin, there were some people who thought that he might make a statement during this trial, that he might take the stand. He has that opportunity today as well. If there's anything that Derek Chauvin wants to say at this moment, today would be the opportunity that he'll have to do that. We don't know yet whether or not he's going to take that opportunity. The family has said that they would rather not hear from him today, but it is his right to do that. If he decides to stand up and make his own statement, this is his forum for that.